Welcome back to this build. There's still a lot left to do on this bike, so let's get to it. All right, I have one of these valve covers off. I'm gonna hit it with a 400 grit sandpaper, then a 600, 800, 1000, to see how much shine I can get out of it. So I'm waiting on a few different things for this build, but I did get the all balls ball bearing kit for the stem in the mail today, so I thought I'd get it installed. This frame actually already came with an all balls kit set up, so I already have the cups inside, but I did destroy the bearing that was on the stem as I pulled it off before I got it to powder coat. So I ordered a whole new kit. I'm gonna make sure that the races are the exact same size, but assuming they are, I'm not gonna have to bother to punch these out, and I can just reuse them and put in the new bearings from the kit. All right, flash forward a couple of days, although I realized I'm wearing a similar gray shirt, so maybe I could have pulled off like this was all one take. But I realized when I went to seat the bearing onto the stem that I didn't have the tool to move it across that final hump and press the bearing on. I went to Home Depot actually. I thought maybe I could just buy a steel tube that would line up nicely over the stem and that I'd be able to tap it on, but the 1-inch tube was a little too small, and the 1 1/4 inch which was available would have been on the outside of the bearing race, which just seemed a little bit risky. There is a company that makes a kit which is effectively just a steel tube with an aluminum collet to tap it in, but that was about $60, which just sounded a little ridiculous for something that I'm probably only going to do a few times. But anyway, I had to go to the bike shop anyway, and they were cool enough just to use their $60 tool to tap that on for me. So they also packed it with grease, which is cool. I'm going to slide this up into the head tube, get the top bearing packed with grease, and then get the different assemblies on to have the triple tree on, and then I'll put the fork legs up. So the factory triple tree top clamp looks terrible. It's got the mounts for the risers for the bar. This clamp secures on the outside. It's got all these other mounting points for the gauges and the other stuff on the factory bike. I've got something incoming to replace this all together, but for now I'm just going to mount it up so that I can use it to get the fork legs on the bike, and I'll swap it out in a bit. So I decided to get the seat professionally covered, and I'm really glad that I did because the final result is fantastic. I'm sure if I tried to do it myself, I would have spent at least half as much on materials and dissatisfied and would have gone the professional route anyway, so glad that I saved the time and money and went with the professional from the start. But I can't believe how well the seat came out overall. One of my biggest apprehensions with buying this bike was the fact that it didn't have a nice straight rear seat frame like the 750 does. This hump action, I thought, oh man, how am I going to figure that out? And again, pretty blown away with how well the final result came out. I do want to give a shout out to Cafe Racer Garage though, because he's got a series of videos on a scrambler build that has a rear frame very similar in style to this, which inspired me to build this seat pan, the foam, and the final cover. So check out his channel. I've got a link to the description below, but he's got tons of great videos, and in my opinion is one of the best YouTube channels for Cafe Racer builds. But anyway, super happy with the outcome of this seat. This was the one last big item that I was unsure how it would look, but now that I've got the tank and the seat, there aren't too many critical things left before this bike is near complete. All right, so this project is definitely coming along. I'm pretty happy with the success I've had at this stage of the build. The seat I'm very pleased with. I really like the shape of the tank. I've done a lot of work with polishing. I think all of the cutting and grinding and finishing I did before I powder coated the frame really paid off, because I can't see any of the grind or sanding marks at all. Everything's looking really good. There's still a lot of work left to do though. I've got the carbs on order, and I ordered some really nice carbs. They actually ended up costing almost as much as I paid for the entire bike. And then I've got to figure out all of the electronics. And I'm not going to reuse any of the wiring harness that came on the bike originally, so there's going to be a lot to figure out there, but I think the end result is going to be pretty awesome. And like I mentioned earlier, the wheels are off at Buchanan spokes being built. I'm using the stock hubs, which you saw that I had powder coated in the previous video, but I think those are going to be pretty awesome as well. I decided to do 18 inches on both sides instead of the 19, 17 that was on the bike previously. And then I've got to get some color on the tank and the controls figured out, and it really isn't too far away. It's pretty exciting how quickly this build has gone, and again, happy with the results so far. So I really appreciate everybody following this build. I also appreciate all the comments that I've gotten so far. Please keep those coming. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks a lot.